let's delve into a profound topic. Imagine feeling a state of being that aligns with the future you desire before it has physically manifested. When you truly embrace this practice, you aren't waiting for external circumstances to change first. You're not waiting for success to feel empowered, wealth to feel abundant, or a new relationship to feel loved. The core question here is, can you believe in a future that's not yet visible to your senses, but has been imagined so vividly that your brain starts to perceive it as real? To manifest your dreams, you need two essential things: a clear intention and an elevated emotion. First, let's talk about intention. Intention is like planting a seed in your mind. It's a vision of what you want, whether it's health, wealth, a new job, or anything else. When you ask yourself questions like, what would it be like to be healthy? Or what would it be like to have a great job? You start to form a clear intention. This is the starting point. Once you have this intention, you need to detail it. Write down exactly what you want. Maybe you want to travel the world, have excellent insurance, work with inspiring people, or be creative. The more detailed you are, the more your brain begins to operate in new ways. This process of getting clear and detailed helps to shift your brain's function. When your brain works differently, it changes how you think and feel. The next step is to feel as if your intention is already happening. This is crucial because it's not just about thinking or imagining your future, but about getting emotionally involved with it. When you desire something, whether it's wealth, a new relationship, or any other goal, you have to feel the emotions connected to that desire as if it's already a reality in your life. Let's take the example of wanting to be wealthy. It's not enough to simply picture yourself having money or enjoying the comforts that come with wealth. You need to feel the emotions that come with abundance. What would it feel like to have financial freedom? What emotions would you experience if you could afford anything you wanted? Imagine the relief, the joy, the sense of security, and the excitement that would come with that kind of wealth. It's important to cultivate those feelings now, even before the wealth has physically manifested in your life. This emotional involvement isn't just a mental exercise, it's a powerful signal you're sending to your body and brain. When you feel abundance in your heart, your body begins to respond as if it's already living in that abundant reality. Your brain too starts to change. It begins to create new neural pathways that support the idea of abundance. Essentially, you're training your brain and body to recognize and live in a future that hasn't yet physically arrived. If your goal is to find a new relationship, the same principle applies. You can't wait for the perfect partner to come along before you start feeling loved. You need to feel in love with life as it is right now. You need to feel the joy, the excitement, and the contentment that comes from being in a loving relationship. Imagine what it would feel like to wake up every day next to someone who loves you, who supports you, and who makes you feel cherished. Feel that now, even if you're currently single. This emotional engagement with your future sends a powerful message to your body and brain that you are ready for love. This process of emotionally experiencing the future you desire is like giving your body and brain a taste of what's to come. It's as if you're letting them sample the emotions of the future so they can start preparing for it. When you consistently engage in this practice, your body and brain begin to align with your desires. Your brain starts to wire itself to think in ways that are in harmony with your goals. Your body begins to feel as if it's already living in that future reality. This emotional alignment is powerful because it changes your state of being. It shifts you from a state of wanting or lacking to a state of having or being. When you're emotionally involved with your future, you're no longer focused on what you don't have. Instead, you're living in the emotions of what you want as if it's already yours. This shift in focus and feeling is key to manifesting your desires. The power of this process lies in its ability to create a new energy within you. Emotions are energy in motion, and when you feel the emotions of your desired future, you're generating a new energy that resonates with that future. This energy attracts similar energies, drawing your desired reality closer to you. It's like tuning a radio to the right frequency. When you're on the right frequency, you can clearly receive the signal. Similarly, when you're emotionally aligned with your desired future, you're on the right frequency to attract it into your life. It's important to note that this process requires consistency. You can't just feel abundant or loved once and expect immediate results. It's about making these feelings a regular part of your daily life. The more you practice feeling the emotions of your desired future, the more you reinforce the signals you're sending to your body and brain. Over time, these signals become stronger, and your body and brain begin to believe that your future is already happening. The challenge here is to stay connected to that future vision, regardless of your current reality. Most people's brains are a reflection of their past experiences. If you feel the same emotions every day, it means nothing new is happening, and those emotions keep you stuck in the past. Your brain becomes a record of past events, and this is why it's crucial to change your emotional state. If thoughts are the language of the brain and feelings are the language of the body, then how you think and feel creates your state of being. Many people are tied to their past because they live with the same thoughts and feelings day after day. The real challenge is to maintain your vision of the future, independent of your present circumstances, emotional habits, and the passage of time. This is where true transformation happens. When you combine a clear intention with an elevated emotion, you start to live in the future instead of the past. Your brain and body then align with this future vision, drawing you towards new experiences. Thoughts act as the electrical charge in the quantum field, while feelings serve as the magnetic charge. Together, they broadcast an electromagnetic signature that influences every atom in your life. So, the fundamental question is, can you consistently invest your energy into your future vision despite your current conditions, emotional habits, and the concept of time? This consistency is what defines greatness and triggers real change. Recent research in neuroscience shows that we can actually change our brain to reflect the event we want as if it has already happened. This means we can emotionally embrace a future reality to such an extent that our body begins to believe it's already living in that reality. When your body, as your unconscious mind, starts to accept this future reality, you're creating physical evidence that aligns with your desired experience. Now let's address an important point. The hardest part of change is thinking greater than how you feel. This means that when you're trying to change something in your life, whether it's a habit, a belief, or a condition, you have to go beyond your current feelings. Your feelings are often tied to past experiences, and they can keep you stuck in old patterns. If you've been living with a certain condition for years, whether it's physical, emotional, or mental, it didn't appear overnight. It took a long time for that condition to develop, perhaps years or even decades. This means that your body and mind have been conditioned to feel and respond in a certain way over a long period. Now imagine trying to change something that has been a part of your life for so long. It's not going to happen instantly. Just like how it took time for the condition to develop, changing it will also take time. This is because your body and mind are used to operating in a specific way. They have been programmed, so to speak, by your repeated thoughts, actions, and feelings over the years. Changing this programming is a process. And like any process, it involves continuous effort. You have to keep working at it, even when it feels difficult. There will be days when it feels like nothing is changing, but that's when you have to push through. The key is to keep practicing. Practice is what makes change possible. When you practice something regularly, whether it's a new habit, a meditation, or a new way of thinking, you are essentially reprogramming your mind and body. But let's be clear about something. This process requires a willingness to learn. You have to be open to new ideas, new ways of thinking, and new ways of doing things. You have to be willing to let go of old patterns and embrace new ones. This is not always easy, especially when the old patterns feel so familiar and comfortable. But if you want to create real change in your life, you have to be willing to step out of your comfort zone. And here's where many people get stuck. They think that by doing a meditation for a few days, they should see instant results, but that's not how it works. Real change takes time. It's not about doing something for a few days and then expecting everything to be different. It's about consistency. You have to keep at it, day after day, week after week. Even when it feels like nothing is happening, you have to trust that the process is working. This consistency is what eventually leads to understanding. Over time, as you keep practicing and putting in the effort, you start to see small changes. These small changes build up, and gradually, you begin to notice bigger shifts in your life. This understanding that change is a gradual process helps you stay committed even when the results aren't immediate. It's important to remember that this process is about reconditioning your mind and body. You are essentially teaching yourself a new way of being. This takes time because you're not just changing one thing. You're changing a whole system of thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that have been ingrained in you for years. It's like turning a big ship around. It doesn't happen in an instant, but with consistent effort, you can slowly steer it in a new direction. Think of it like catching a fish. The moment you notice even a small change, that's a sign you're on the right track. That feeling of progress motivates you to continue with more passion and certainty. When you practice meditation daily and you reach that point of being fully present, where you forget about your past and future, you merge with a greater consciousness. This is where true change can occur. If you can get beyond your body and your identity during meditation, you enter a state where you become pure consciousness. This means that you step away from all the thoughts, feelings, and sensations that usually make up your day-to-day experience. You let go of who you think you are, your name, your role in life, your past experiences, and even your physical body. In this state, you become something much deeper and more profound. You become pure awareness, pure consciousness. Now, why is this important? When you reach this state of pure consciousness, you're no longer limited by the boundaries of your body and your identity. You're no longer caught up in the usual worries, stresses, and limitations that come with being a person living in a physical body. Instead, you rise above all that, and you start to experience yourself as something much larger and more expansive. This state of pure consciousness gives you a new level of awareness. It's like seeing your life and your body from a higher perspective, a place where you're not tied down by the usual rules of the physical world. When you're in this state, you have the ability to work with your body in a much more powerful way. You're not just trying to change your body from within it, like trying to fix something while you're stuck inside it. Instead, you're instructing your body from a place beyond it, from a place of higher awareness. Think of it like this. Imagine you're in a forest and you're trying to find your way out. When you're in the middle of the forest, all you can see are the trees around you. It's easy to get lost because you can't see the bigger picture. But if you were to rise above the forest, say in a helicopter, you would see the entire forest from above. You could see the paths, the exits, and the best way to get where you want to go. That's what it's like when you reach a state of pure consciousness. You're no longer lost in the details of your body and your identity. Instead, you can see the bigger picture, and you can guide your body from this higher perspective. When you're in this state, you can communicate with your body in a much more effective way. You're not just telling your body what to do from a place of limitation or struggle. Instead, you're giving your body instructions from a place of wisdom and clarity. Your body becomes more receptive to these instructions because they're coming from a place beyond the usual limitations of the physical world. The more you practice getting beyond your body and your past, the more effective your efforts will be. You're no longer just matter trying to change matter. Instead, you're operating from a higher state of consciousness. influencing your body's state from an elevated perspective. This is where true transformation happens quickly and effectively. The process may seem challenging at first, especially when you're dealing with physical symptoms or conditions. But as you continue to practice and align your thoughts and feelings with your future vision, you'll start to notice changes. The key is to remain consistent and focused on your intention and emotions, allowing your brain and body to adapt and transform over time. Feeling it until it manifests involves a deep emotional connection with your future vision, maintaining that vision despite current circumstances, and consistently practicing this process. Start getting through this and they start having very profound moments, and they're now opening their heart and they can sustain heart coherence and they know how to create brain coherence. That's the formula. And now they have a laser. They have coherent light and information that can read information that exists beyond the senses. And the pineal gland, once activated, will transduce it into profound imagery. Whether you see with your eyes open or your eyes closed, it doesn't matter because it's more real than anything you've ever experienced. Let's have a small pause here. It's the next part. Dr. Joe is going to talk about his research about the 4 states of matter. Listen carefully. This is very important. And so I started researching and I found that there's 4 states of matter. There's solids, there's liquids, there's gases, and the biggest, most abundant form of matter, what's called plasma. And plasma is when you have a negative charge and a positive charge, and they haven't formed an atom yet. So if you have a negative charge and a positive charge, then you're going to have an electrical current running between the two and a field around that current. And the universe really, stars connect through plasma. Everything connects through plasma. So when you start seeing these complex patterns, it's an impression from that plasma that's being pressed into 3-dimensional reality. And so if you take 3 stones, right, and you drop them at the same time into a plate, and you freeze the water in the plate, and those 3 stones fall, and they start producing concentric rings, and they start interfering with each other, you're starting to get complex pattern of interference. So vibrational match, all of a sudden your energy's at that point, and there's a door. And now you're going to get somebody who's going to, in your state of emotional freedom, in your state of your bliss or ecstasy or whatever it is, there's a perfect opportunity for a being that's vibrating at a similar frequency to begin to influence a person's future. But by the same means, if you can't get to that point and you're stuck, well, then there are beings that love to feed off emotions and feed off energy. And I've seen those too, because when a person finally gets beyond their suffering or whatever, they no longer can host on that person because they're no longer that emotion, that energy any longer. So then all of a sudden the person experiences a tremendous amount of freedom as well. And yeah, of course, now they're setting themselves up for something else. What I do know, though, is that our intention really is to connect to the divine. Our intention is to become divine. Our intention is to open our hearts and trust again, to love again. Our intention is to teach our bodies emotionally what our future could feel like, to trade guilt and shame and resentment and jealousy and envy and competition for love. And we practice that in our week-long events. And once this center begins to open up, we're after coherence. So if you have a coherent heart and you're able to manage that and sustain the heart coherence, the field around your body begins to expand up to 3 meters wide. And that frequency, that coherent frequency, is like a Wi-Fi signal. You got a signal now, and at the same time, once energy makes it to the heart and it goes to the brain, and you teach a person how to create a coherent brain and be able to suppress the mechanism of the thinking neocortex, the memory bank of the known self, teach a person how to operate from their limbic brain and tune that pineal gland into frequency and allow that pineal gland to lock into a frequency. Now you have a Wi-Fi signal as well, and it can read information. And these beings, I was doing this event in Florida, in Amelia Island. It was an advanced event, advanced follow-up, and this is people that have done advanced workshops. And the event was called Dreamtime, that were up from 11 at night till 8 in the morning for the mystical. And if you don't want to do the mystical, don't come. But I'm going to be messing with your sleep, and I stay up the entire night. I'm watching the entire audience, and we're keeping them between worlds, between wakefulness and sleep in that theta realm. And many people have very profound transcendental experiences while we're doing it. And I was trying to think of a way to explain this to the audience, and I had just finished the morning. I hadn't done my meditation, so I went into my room, I sat up, I did my meditation, and then I laid down. And when I laid down, all of a sudden, I see this beautiful fractal pattern with my eyes closed in the room. And the moment I see that fractal pattern, I know that that's order. That's information, a packet, a standing wave of information. And I sense it. I see it with my eyes closed. And then it unfolds like it rolls out on this beautiful being standing right next to me. And I'm sitting there with my eyes closed. And I say, oh shit, like holy, like whoa. And I hear it laugh. And it sounds like a symphony, like a harmony. In fifth dimensional creation, you are not going anywhere to get anything. Fifth dimensional creation has nothing to do with going anywhere to get anything. Because if you combine a clear intention, a coherent thought, coherent brainwave pattern, with a coherent heart, moving into that elevated emotion, thoughts are electric and feelings are magnetic. The magnetism of this center becomes the energy. The intention is carried on that energy, and now you are broadcasting a new signature into the quantum field. Now, if it's done properly, and you understand the mechanics, in fifth dimensional creation, you are not going anywhere to get anything. You are actually collapsing space and time, and you are drawing the experience to you. You are the vortex. Because when there's a vibrational match between your energy and that potential that exists in the quantum field, by tuning a radio dial, when you lock into that frequency, if you keep revisiting that energetic signature over again every single day, then you don't have to go anywhere and get it. The new job finds you. The new house actually finds you. The new relationship finds you, because you are the vortex that's drawing the experience to you. My definition of creation is when I forget about me. I become nobody, no one, no thing, nowhere, and no time. I become pure consciousness. And the moment I reach that elegant moment of the generous present moment, all possibilities in the quantum field exist truly when our brain and body are in the present moment. Getting there is the work. So then most people then create reality from what we call three-dimensional creation. Now, when you teach people how to take their attention off of matter, off of objects, off of a particle, and sense energy and sense space and pay attention to nothing, the moment they begin to open their focus, all of a sudden, their brain waves begin to change from beta to alpha. But not only just alpha, where the imaginary inner world starts to become more real, but very coherent brainwave patterns in alpha. So when you're under stress, you're trying to control that person, that thing that you're experiencing, your attention is shifting from one thing to the next. Turns out that each one of those things has a neurological network in the brain, assigned to it because we've experienced it. So as you try to control all these things and your attention is shifting, you measure the brain. There's no coherency. The brain is very incoherent. Why is it important to have coherency? Well, because the moment you open your focus and the brain begins to acclimate, different compartments of the brain begin to unify. They begin to synchronize, and what syncs in the brain links in the brain. So when your brain is coherent, you're coherent. When your brain is incoherent, you are incoherent. The person, the maverick, who's willing to step out into the unknown, that unknown is the perfect place to create from. Because only in the unknown can you create something new. And if you and I can become comfortable in that unknown place, then the best way to predict the future is to create it from that unknown place. Now, when people start crossing the river of change from the old self to the new self, because they're no longer thinking, acting, and feeling in the same way, there is literally a biological, a neurological, a genetic, a chemical death of the old self. And this dark night of the soul, this unfamiliar place, is the true value, the true step towards developing a new self. And your biology, your neurocircuitry, your neurochemistry, your neurohormones, and even your genetic expression is equal to how you think, how you act, and how you feel. And how you think, how you act, and how you feel is called your personality, and your personality creates your personal reality. That's it. So then, if you wanted to create a new personal reality, a new life, then you would have to start thinking about what you've been thinking about and change it. You would have to become aware of your unconscious thoughts and observe them. You would have to pay attention to your automatic habits and behaviors and modify them. And you would have to look at the emotions you live by every single day that are connected to your past and decide if those emotions belong in your future. You see, most people try to create a new personal reality as the same personality, and it doesn't work. You literally have to become someone else. And you are here this week to learn vital information about creating a future and be defined by a vision of the future instead of the memories of the past. Because if you are not defined by some vision that is bigger than you and you are not passionate about that vision, then you are left with the old hardware of the past in your brain and you will be predictable in your life. So would you agree then? New thoughts, new information should lead to new choices. New choices should lead to new behaviors, and new behaviors should create new experiences, and new experiences should produce new emotions, and those new emotions should drive new thoughts. And that's called evolution. So if your brain is a record of the past and you don't have a vision of the future, then you are living in the past. And you will never arrive at that new future. Now there's another potential for you to exist free from the chains of the old self. That potential exists right now. And I want you to teach your body emotionally what it would feel like so that it begins to believe it's in the actual experience of freedom. Let your body feel freedom so that it thinks it's in the experience. And I want you to sit in your body emotionally to feel the joy of how you would feel. So the body begins to be in a future potential now emotionally, and there's a potential for you to have all your needs met and be wealthy. And I want you to instruct your body to experience wealth and the joy of riches ahead of the actual events, so your body thinks it's in the experience. If you feel it, your body thinks it's in the experience. It doesn't know the difference. Now there's a potential in the field for a genius mind, quicksilver thoughts, insights that take you to new horizons. Now where you place your attention is where you place your energy. So you want that energy to move right to the top of your head. So then as you inhale, you bring that energy all the way up to the top. You keep following your breath. You lock all the way to the top. When you get to the top, now you hold your breath. And when you hold your breath, you contract those intrinsic muscles and you begin to lift those muscles up and you begin to compress those muscles and you begin to push that cerebral spinal fluid up into your brain. So then why do I ask you to inhale and hold your breath? Now this isn't inhaling and turning purple and pushing. If you're doing that, you're doing it wrong. It's a slow, steady breath, and you follow that breath all the way to the top, either to the top of your head, or you put your awareness on where that pineal gland is between the back of your throat and the back of your head. Now, when you inhale, that inhalation is very slow and very steady. It's not a big inhalation and pushing. It's a slow, steady breath, and you're contracting these muscles and coordinating it, and you're following your breath all the way to the top of your head. And when you get to the top of your head, I'm going to ask you to inhale a little bit more. And as you pull up, you're going to lock these muscles down even further, and you're lifting them up. Once you lift them up and you have your attention either on the top of your head or the space that your pineal gland occupies in space, I'm going to ask you to lock those muscles down and pump, squeeze, or push. And I want you to push that fluid up into your brain by squeezing the muscles. Not by holding your breath harder, but by squeezing those muscles. I want you to begin to pump that fluid and begin to compress up against your pineal gland. When you do this breath, you have to demonstrate a will that's greater than any program. You have to find a level of intensity or a level of passion that's greater than the body as the mind or any addiction to any emotion. You have to be inspiration, the movement of energy. Don't be afraid of it. Just surrender into it. For some people, their body will do unusual things. That's information trying to be integrated into it. Don't be afraid of it. Just surrender into it. If your body does weird things, more than likely that's energy moving to your brain. If you have a lapse of consciousness or you all of a sudden find yourself on the ground, that's energy moving into your brain. It's happened to me numerous times. It's a sign that you're getting close or at least doing it correctly. Now, where you place your attention is where you place your energy. So you want that energy to move right to the top of your head. Inspiration, the movement of energy. You have to find a level of intensity or a level of passion that's greater than the body as the mind or any addiction to any emotion. Don't be afraid of it. Just surrender into it. On a Sunday morning while she was in the shower, her husband said goodbye to his 2 children, yelled something to her while she was in the shower, and then went to the tallest building in Amsterdam and jumped off the building and committed suicide. Now that is a stressful event, and when she got the news, she experienced all the emotions that people experience from something that's shocking and traumatic like that. She was suffering, she was in pain, she was resentful, she was guilty, she was confused, she was angry. She went through the whole gamut of emotions, and all of those emotions, by the way, are derived from the hormones of stress. So she has an event in her life. It changes her biologically. She doesn't know how to control her emotional reaction. It turns into a mood, one long emotional reaction. If you keep reviewing that event in your mind, you begin to produce the same chemistry in your brain and body as if the event was occurring. So her body is being conditioned to the past because she's reliving the experience 50 to 100 times in a day, and her body is beginning to believe it's in the same past experience over and over again. It ultimately goes from a mood to a temperament, and now people are asking her in her life, "Why are you so upset?" She tells the story, and she's basically saying, "I am this way because of this event that happened to me 4 months ago."